The federal government response to the pandemic, White House task force changes, plenty happening in the US. We are joined by Peter Mathews, Professor of Political Science at Cypress College in LA. Thank you very much for joining us and for your time today, Professor. First of all, it was one of the US President Donald Trump's Oval Office valets testing positive for COVID-19. 2 days later, Vice President Mike Pence's press secretary. Now, we're hearing reports of Ivanka Trump's personal assistant also testing positive. More and more, we've got 11 Secret Service people also testing positives. What are you hearing?
Well, I'm hearing the same thing, and it's very true, and it's very dangerous. Of course, it could be a national security issue, and it's coming right home, isn't it? I mean, when it comes right to the White House, it's just right there, and it shows the extent of the problem here in the United States with this virus. I mean, it has stopped the economy in its tracks. I mean, we just had a jobs report for April. 20,500,000 jobs were lost, the largest ever, even in the Great Depression, and we are reaching unemployment levels of Great Depression levels. We're at 15% official unemployment. But in reality, if you look at the real unemployment, it's closer to 20% because some people have not gone to the unemployment office to look for work or not applied for it. They're off the roll. So it's really, really devastating. And here it is at the home in the White House itself, the virus itself, and a lot of ramifications, obviously.
Absolutely. As you mentioned, unemployment levels have reached Great Depression levels. Also, we're looking at around 47 states preparing or have already partially reopened their economy. In your opinion, how risky is this?
It's extremely risky to do that. And we know what happened in other countries, in Germany, for example, which took care of that virus problem early on by doing widespread testing and exemplary isolation and social distancing. Germany brought its numbers way down, and then it opened up again and slightly just by letting people go to stores and shop. And guess what? And with masks, by the way. And now the German numbers have started to go up again. That's happened in other areas in the world as well. And yet, countries like South Korea, who attacked this problem early on, was able to basically wipe it out early on by widespread testing and social isolation, et cetera. South Korea was able to open up again by using, and they kept wearing masks, by the way. They wore masks from the beginning. Those safety measures were right in place in South Korea, and they're a great example of the world as to what should be done before they open. No, these states are not ready to open yet, and none of them has actually met the criteria that President Trump has stated, that it has to be 2 weeks of downward trend. None of the states have actually met that, and it's amazing how they're trying to open. Georgia opened 2 weeks ago, and California just yesterday started opening very gradually. So I think it's precipitous all the way across. We should be waiting and then working on getting money into people's hands so they can still pay their rent, pay their housing, and keep the businesses in place by having federal money straight, not through the SBA, but straight to the people themselves and the businesses, as other countries have done: Denmark, Germany, France, etc.
Professor, officials in 48 US states, including Washington, D.C., have ordered or recommended school closures for the rest of the year. What are you hearing as well? Because the New York Governor, Andrew Cuomo, is very concerned of the devastating news of 3 children in New York passing away from a rare inflammatory condition believed to be linked to COVID-19, along with 73 children contracting symptoms shared with Kawasaki disease. Now, we're hearing here a lot of doctors, they have warned for some time about this. What are we hearing in the States?
It's very dangerous because we now have a whole new situation with children dying and being so totally affected by this now. At the beginning, we thought children were virtually immune to having symptoms, and that's why the schools closed. I think they should remain closed until at least the end of this coming year, or at least until the fall. We should not be specifically saying, let's open up this summer or open up early in the fall. No, if anything, we should delay the opening of schools because children are so vulnerable, and the Kawasaki syndrome has shown that to be the case in New York. And I've got an 8-year-old daughter, and her school was closed, and the teachers have been doing exemplary work through Zoom and other kind of remote instruction, and we're helping her at home, of course, with her work. It should remain that way for many, many more months until we can get this under control. It's very, very sad and very dangerous, very outrageous to think that states are considering even opening schools up. I don't think it'll happen in most states.
Yes, it's certainly been very divided and, as you said, very, very dangerous as well. It's just really a new virus, and also, as we mentioned, hearing about the Kawasaki disease. On a more personal note, with your 8-year-old daughter, how are you going with the homeschooling?
She's doing very well, actually, although, it's a little frustrating for her to not have her friends around physically so she can play with them and interact with them. Because children learn really well when they're together in school. And it's a very different situation for her. So we try to let her go on social media to a lot of her friends on the weekend, and she can talk to them and play with them on social media as well. But studying is important. We make sure that was going to. My wife has been amazing to take care of that mostly since I've been doing also my work. I'm teaching full time still next week and a half through the social. I mean, what do you call it? Through what's called Canvas. It's like a social media network. So I'm doing that, and my wife's been doing mostly the work with my daughter. So I must commend her and thank her much as well.
It's certainly a new experience for everyone as well. But we're hearing
Yes.
here in Australia the rates of mental health and self-harm are certainly going elevated as well. So there's certainly a lot of other things besides the economic impact, of course, as we know. But we've got a little bit of time left. Can you bring us up to speed, Professor, on the sexual assault allegation against Joe Biden?
Yes, Ms. Tara Reade, of course, has come through with detailed allegation on sexual assault, and Biden's campaign and by Mr. Biden himself has denied it completely. And of course, it's right now at this point, there was evidence when, well, not evidence, I should say, there was some circumstantial evidence when Tara Reade's mother, a video surfaced on CNN showing her mother calling in and saying that her daughter had a problem with a leading prominent senator and what could be done because her daughter wasn't getting any hearing. These are all allegations still, but it's becoming to a point where it could affect the election to some extent. Obviously, some voters, the Democratic side, are going to vote for Joe Biden regardless because they really want to get Mr. Trump to be out of office. And yet, there's going to be a slew of voters, a certain segment, even the Democratic side, that might actually stay home or not vote because of this, and certainly want to give Miss Reade her full say. And for example, the Me Too movement is divided on this, and this is a real problem for Democrats. And we'll have to see how it works out. Don't forget, we elect the president according to the Electoral College, so a lot of things could happen. I mean, you could have still fewer votes for Mr. Trump, and he could still win the electoral vote by winning a few Midwestern conservative states. So there's a lot of moving parts in play right now.
There certainly is. Thank you so much for your time and expertise. Peter Mathews, Professor of Political Science at Cypress College in LA. You take care and good luck with that homeschooling.
Thank you, and you take care also.
Thank you.